operation that I want to talk about that we can do with significant figures is adding. That really includes adding and subtracting, because subtracting is just adding a negative. So we're going to go through an example of that, and then we're going to come up with a rule on how to round our answers when we're adding or subtracting with significant figures. To do that, I want to use an example. So here on the board you have a picture of a rectangle, and I've made measurements of each side. So here I measured this side to be 19.32 centimeters. So notice, I measured the tens exactly, the ones exactly, the tenths exactly, and I estimated the hundredths place. And on this side I measured it to be 45.5 centimeters. I measured the tens and the ones and estimated the tenths. The reason that I've estimated to a different place is I used a different ruler for each one. So here the ruler was precise to the hundredths place. Here it's only precise to the tenths place. Now, to give you an example of a calculation using those numbers, I'm going to find the perimeter. Now, you know from basic geometry that we can find the perimeter by adding up all the sides. So if we look at that, we could do that 19.32 plus 45.5 plus another 19.32 plus another 45.5, and we would find that the perimeter is 129.64 centimeters. However, these measurements that we made to begin with are not perfect. Remember, our last digit was an estimate. Maybe we estimated too high and our value should be a little bit lower. So notice 19.31 is just a little bit less than 19.32. These agree exactly, but this one was an estimate. The same here, 45.5, well maybe it was really 45.4. So if our estimates had all been a little too high and we had slightly lower values, we would find our perimeter to be 129.42 centimeters. If our estimates had all been too low and really our measurement should have been a little bit higher, our perimeter would be 129.86. Now, what I want to show you there is even though we get different answers depending on where we estimated, they all agree to a certain point. So I want you to notice they all agree in the hundredths place. We know for sure it's 100. They all agree in the tens place. We know it's 120 something. They all agree in the ones place. We know it's 129. But they start to differ when we get to the tenths place. So that tenths place is an estimate. And remember, we want to record our answers to show significant figures so that they have one estimated digit. So our answer is really only good to the tenths place. So when we add up our measurements to get our perimeter, we should really round this off to be 129.6 centimeters. Now we can see that by doing three different calculations. But we don't want to have to do three different calculations every time we want to figure out an answer. So we need a rule to tell us where to round before we do the calculation. I'm going to now give you that rule. When you look at your measurements, look at how precise they are. This is precise to the hundredths, this is precise to the tenth. When you add them up, you are only as good as your least precise measurement. That means that we're only going to be good to the tenths place. So when you add up your numbers, we are going to round to the tenths place. So one more time, when you're adding or subtracting, look at your numbers, find the measurement that is the least precise, and round to the place value that we know. So the tenths is less precise than the hundredths. Since we know the tenths, we round our answer to the tenths.